Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's School Safety Subcabinet meeting. It is about 10:07, and I will call the meeting to order. And we are in live streaming, I believe. I got the thumbs up, so thank you. Ms. Johnson, can you confirm that we have a quorum?
Good morning. Yes, we do have a quorum.
Great. Thank you so much. The last meeting of the subcabinet was in August. The August meeting was recorded, and that recording is available on the MCSS website. As such, there are no meeting minutes to be approved. So we will go on to the agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda? We all should have a hard copy of the agenda. Any additions to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second? Oops. We have people online, right?
We do have people online.
We need a second to the agenda.
This is Laura Torres. I second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? The motion passes. The agenda is approved, and we will move forward to the topics for review, discussion, and approval. First is the annual report, and I think that's Kate.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So we're pulling up the screen to start. All right, so last week we shared with you the final draft of the after action report. We're going to go through content within this report, allow you to ask any questions you might have. Before we sort of get into this, I want to give a huge thank you to Aaron for all his work on this. It looks fantastic. The team, the entire team did a great job of getting information and materials to him so that we could have a report ready for our December 15th due date. So next page. Next page. So some key accomplishments for 2024 for the entire team. First off relates to the SRO and SSC Training Academy. So the team has been doing an incredible amount of work relative to training our school resource officers and security employees throughout the state. This year they've trained and certified another 250 individuals. So that takes us well over 1,300 total since 2019. So a really fantastic effort. I will say that one of the now challenges they're facing is we are also doing in-service training for all of those individuals. So going back to 2019, everybody that's been trained, all 1,300 now are going through in-service training. So the team has been doing a great job with that. Behavioral threat assessments. So this year we released an expansion of our implementation guide on behavioral threat assessments, specifically speaking to adults that may pose a risk to students, and we're going to hear a little bit more about that when we go through the report. As you know, we had our conference this year to prepare 2024, another fantastic event with a really great turnout and some fantastic speakers. On our state emergency preparedness coordination, we conducted in 2024 3 statewide tabletop exercises. 2 were for public school systems, and 1 was for our non-public special education facilities. We have been expanding that work over the last 2 years, and we're going to continue to do that into 2025. Technical assistance, we're still providing technical assistance, whether it's on emergency plans, facility assessments, and this technical assistance goes to both private schools as well as public schools. So a lot of effort by the regional team of doing all of that. And then finally, in October, we published the best practices guidelines for active assailant drills. So that published in October. It's now available on our website, and I don't know if you've all been reading the paper, but it's had actually quite a bit of news media coverage in the last couple of weeks. So we're very excited and very proud of that work that the team put together. Next page. So our priorities coming in 2025, Kim's going to talk a little bit about this when we get to the section of the annual report related to behavioral threat assessment teams and the expanded training and resources we're going to be providing to local education agencies in 2025. Next is Safe Schools Maryland. That's our anonymous reporting system, our tip line. We're going to be expanding outreach and communication related to that. Again, the Maryland Coordinated Emergency Response. So that is our ability to coordinate both at the state and local level during a school-based incident. So we're going to be expanding a lot of our work in that area. And then finally, in addition to all the folks they have to train, the training curriculum was up for recertification. So they've been in the process of updating all of the training materials over the last year and are due to get recertified hopefully in December or at the latest, I think, January. So again, a lot of really great work happening this year as well as moving into next year. Next page.
So as last year, we really wanted to make the annual report interactive so that any stakeholders across the state, particularly our legislators who have an interest in one particular aspect of the work we do at MCSS, can really use the table of contents to direct them to a particular kind of program. This year, we actually are using, for the very first time this week, a new program called Flipping Books that will actually help us to make it that much more integrative experience for folks. So we're just going to kind of roll through the different elements of the annual report. So go ahead, next page. The first is related to legislation and regulations. So this is just a comprehensive list of all of those items that fall within the scope of the center. So we have a nice little icon there, the new, right? So you all, as the subcabinet, developed and approved the most recent data collection and reporting aspect. There, that's made note of in theirs. And these are all to, I think, my understanding, Erin, is hot links, right? So each one of these, if again, a reader is looking at the report, is interested in downloading any one of those regulations, they can via the report. Next page, again, is just continuation of beyond our legislation and regulations. Are those reports required for MCSS to submit to the governor's office? The use of force report has already been submitted and the information related to that. The CLT reports occur in a rolling basis throughout the year. So we have a page coming up within the report where we can speak to some of those elements as well. And then the adequate coverage report has already been submitted to the legislature. And you have a nice little graphic there that demonstrates the number of schools who have a designated SRO at them versus, so that's the 278 versus adequate coverage, the 1144. So again, those are all hot linked to those reports as well for folks. Next page. So the next section speaks to grants. There we go. So over in the 2024 school year, MCSS awarded approximately $21 million in school safety grants. And you see the breakdown in the chart by each grant item. And then at the bottom of that page, onto the next page, Erin, is a more comprehensive breakdown of each grant and the purpose of those, as well as how folks were using those monies. Next page as well then continues with a breakdown of Safe Schools grant funding with a total dollar amount, as well as sort of a bulleted list and graphic to demonstrate how our locals are using those funds. Go ahead, next page, and then the last grants page, next to the next to last page, is the hate crimes grant. So this was, if you recall, perhaps the last meeting, I believe, JN shared with you the interactive map that allows us to overlay incidents of hate crimes with where our grant applications were coming from, and for us to really use a more data-informed approach to look at those applications this year. So this kind of speaks to that. So high level here on this page too, we received 113 applications and 91 of those were approved. And then a bulleted list of what those grant monies were used by locals for. And then the final last page related to grants looks to the future. So the initial part is kind of our outlook for the future, which did include in the last legislative session those 2 new grant programs that there was no money allocated for, but has involved some collaborative work. So that diagram at the bottom helps folks to understand the school mapping data analysis of the many different state agencies that have come together to define those standards. And that will all be rolled out in the upcoming year. Right, and then the next page takes us to programs and resources that are offered through MCSS. Next page, Erin. Thank you. The first of which we kind of put right at the front, the emergency preparedness planning overview. So we had 9 of our local school systems submitted an evaluation summary. So about midway through the page there, the summaries that were submitted found the need for additional staff training on policies regarding securing doors, as well as physical safety concerns about gaps in communication. And that would include both internal PA systems and communication challenges between schools and public safety. So we sort of really highlight that within the report. And then a little later on, we also provide information. In 2024, we offered the school safety evaluation grant program to assist locals in conducting those physical safety evaluations, and allocated $3 million to LEAs for that purpose. On the next page, we have some data related to school emergency plans. So 11 LEAs at the beginning of the 23-24 school year, representing 494 schools, made updates to their plans in 24. And the table represents kind of that overarching view of school emergency plans for our LEAs. So I'm just pausing some for you guys to be able to look at some of that data on your own. Next page, Erin. So on page 16 is where you see data related to the 23-24 school year that comes to us from LEAs around the performance of their emergency plans. This is always an interesting page for folks to look at, and this is really the only place that you sort of see this piece of data. So to help folks sort of interpret the graph is that there were a total of 1,047 emergency responses that occurred in 23 of the 24 systems. We have one system that we still are awaiting this information from. Of those 1,047 emergency responses, the very top part here, 672 did not interfere with school operations. 264 were an evacuation, so students left the building, and 111 of those emergency responses were lockdowns. So you see sort of that data represented in the table as well as in the bulleted points. So for a total of 407 school hours were spent responding to real world incidents in the 23-24 school year. Next page, Erin. So the next page, when we get there, actually speaks to drills. So these are emergency planning drills conducted by those LEAs, and kind of high level number of the bulleted points there, 4,168 total school hours were spent engaging in emergency drills in Maryland, again for the 23-24 school year. Next page, Karen. So then sort of continuing, we have information on this and the following page related to the statewide event that we've been hosting, and we've spoken to the subcabinet several times about. Kate referenced this also in the accomplishment sections. So I think here is also, you start to see our intention with the APR is to also explain to anyone who should pick up the APR, again, legislative folks as well as local councilmen, local school board members, what this is, right? We use it as an opportunity to share data, but also an opportunity to share that very big overview of the different programs that occur. So we provide some information about what the school-based tabletop exercise is, as well as kind of how we've gone about conducting them. So on the next page, Erin, it just offers a nice graphic of this is the tool that we've been giving to locals to help them organize and prepare for the event, as well as some tips that we have shared with them to help make this a meaningful activity at the local level. Next page is, again, looking to the future, so kind of what we've learned and our intentions related to continuing to conduct these twice a year for our public schools and once a year for our non-publics. Next page. And this really then ties into the emergency preparedness tabletop activities called Are We Ready? So in 2023, we rolled out the Are We Ready program, which is really then about school-based readiness, right? So school-based administrators bringing their school safety teams together and conducting regular discussion-based exercises on that, you know, a host of different types of emergencies, so that they're prepared at each of our Maryland schools to handle whatever may come their way. So on the next page, we did expand. So of those 40 different scenarios that are available to locals to use, this past year, we actually used 2 of them and built them out to be videos. So they are designed where actually a school-based team could actually use the video that walks them through the scenario. So it kind of makes it that much easier for a school administrator or a safety official to engage a team in the practice of these exercises. So we make note on this page, so this continues to be one of our really popular, so we get lots of hits on this Are We Ready page, which again tells us that this is something that locals are craving and using. So midway through this page, you see that we've had 3,487 visitors to that page since it became active in August of 2022. So this is an initiative that we continue to build out and we'll work on. Next page, Erin. So then this page is where we really highlight the active assailant guidelines that have most recently been released. And again, we've shared with the Subcabinet a lot of this work. So hot link to the guidelines, as well as the partnership with the University of Maryland's National School Center related to the surveys. And on the next page, we offer just the one pager. So somebody could, through the APR, literally just copy this page and distribute it to parents, locals on what are the big elements of that bill, the requirements. And then next page, you actually see the gun safety storage document. And so this document is also part of the requirement in House Bill 416 and is set for distribution as we enter the 2025 school year. All local public schools are required to distribute this to start the school year. So actually at the beginning of the 25-26 school year, locals will be required to have this available, whether that be on their webpage, printed and put in backpacks, in their local newsletters. So this is just a copy of what that looks like. Page 26, Erin. So pages 26 and 27 is where we provide information related to those critical life-threatening incidents reports that have occurred. So legislatively required, every local public jurisdiction must conduct an after-action review following a critical life-threatening incident. So this graphic was updated in the 2024 year to kind of help locals understand kind of what the timelines are in terms of dates that have been recently updated, as well as kind of how the whole flow of reporting works. And on the next page, page 27, we do a very big high-level overview. So there were 18 CLT incidents in the 23-24 school year. And then the bulleted list kind of is a summary of what were some of those lessons learned from those CLTs. And I'm going to actually ask Kate to give you a high level of these bulleted points.
So the first four on the list are all similar, right? So they talk about the need for local education agencies to really coordinate with their local responders, whether it's in their emergency plan development, their facility assessments, their training and exercise, their testing of communication equipment and procedures. So that's really what the first four were. Now this is only 5 of the recommendations out of the 18, and I will tell you, a lot of these appeared in more than one summary report after, right? So these are the common things that are happening across the state. The fifth one there talks about when they place a school on a lockdown, what are the procedures in that school when there's students and staff outside the building, right? So what are the procedures for getting those students and staff back in the building and placing them on lockdown? So we identified that as an area that they need to do some work on. And then the last here is actually included within our drill guidelines, and that relates to common terminology. And I know we've talked about this before, but we have 24 school systems across the state. We have about half of them that are using what is displayed here, which is the I Love You Guys common terminology for those response protocols or response actions that we want schools, staff, students to take in different types of emergencies. Unfortunately, and what we found during some of the tabletop exercises is that there are still school systems using different terminology. And so what happens is if a student transfers school districts, if an incident occurs at a school that's maybe on the borderline of another jurisdiction, the media, law enforcement agencies, local school systems, all might be using different terminology to mean the same thing. So when a school is placed on lockdown, but when the media and say law enforcement agencies say that a school is on lockdown, but they're actually on secure, meaning keep the doors locked, instruction can go on normally inside, versus the building is on lockdown, instruction is not happening, everyone is in a place, doors locked, quiet. So we are really pushing our local education agencies to get to this common terminology, and that's why we included it as not just as part of our annual report, but also within the active assailant guidelines that we published in October.
Thank you. So next page, Erin. The next few pages speak to the School Resource Officer School Security Employee Training Academy. So the very top paragraph there highlight that the training team certified over 250 SROs, SSEs in Maryland over the course of 7 different regional based sessions. So over the course of the year, there are 7 different trainings that occur within the different regions of the state, really as a way to make it easier for our local jurisdictions to have their individuals trained up. The bottom part on this page, this last paragraph, speaks to the additions that are added to the 2025 curriculum. So one of the priorities in 2025 is the rollout of the 3.0 curriculum program. And you'll see in that paragraph a listing of the additional items that are going to be covered in the 3.0 version. Next page, Erin. So we just offer at the top of here some specific feedback, so some direct quotes from people who have participated in the training. It's always interesting because they say, I would have loved to have had this my first day on the job, and that would be lovely too, right? It is sort of our intention for them to be trained before they hit the ground running, but we also know just the way things occur that can't always be reality in some places. But as quickly as possible to provide the training for folks. You'll also, so about halfway down there, mid-page, so developed the continuing education in-service training. So the many SRO, SSEs through the years that have been trained, how we make sure that we continue to refresh them and bring them back to the learning table. So the in-service program was actually one of the accomplishments for this year. And you'll see there the 4 topic areas that were selected for that in-service, that refresher kind of program for folks. And next page. So this page really speaks to the in-service, the refresher training for individuals. And we have really anticipated that it's going to be close to 1,300 individuals that need to participate in that in-service program. So it has been a very big lift for the MCSS staff to make sure that they have access to the modules. The modules are self-paced and independent. So they were designed in working with the communications team to actually be video-based modules for folks to download and view. Next page is our behavior threat assessment. So we continue to kind of build out this suite of resources for folks. So we highlight here within the 2024 document the work group that came together. So the bulleted list is provided to help folks see that we were really looking at getting a cross section of perspectives and points of view on this work group as we developed the expansion document. So looking at specifically what kind of guidelines, recommendations are we making to local systems as they seek to really spend some time thinking about internal threats. So workplace violence, so employees that may be in a situation where they pose a threat either themselves or through a domestic violence situation, as well as caregiver dynamics, looking at transient versus substantive threats that may occur in those dynamics, and the unaffiliated adult threat. So that individual that really has no nexus to school other than potentially either a former student from over a year ago or a former employee that may continue to have a grievance and look at the school as a target. So next page, Erin. So we offer here kind of a one-page overview of the 25-page document for folks to get the key points in a snapshot, and then our plans as we go into 2025 is going to be lots of work with our local schools and our local communities making this a reality, bringing some of these practices to like not going to be an easy lift, so stay tuned on that work. Next page, Erin, is related to the Safe Schools Maryland program. So again, this first page really highlights the importance of the program. We want people to understand that this is critical to safety within all of our schools. And then next page on 34 provides some data. This is always interesting data, and we generally have the media who's chomping at the bit to see this page. So I'm sure there will be a news story in the coming month related to this data. So we had 929 total reports in the 23-24 school year. And that was almost exactly the year before. So you see we have 927 in the 22-23 year. The table, as well as some of the text there, represents the a comparison between the 2 years. We have general school complaint was the most reported category in the 23-24 year, which was a change, just a slight difference. Thursday is the day of the week in which most tips are reported, followed by Wednesday. And the web-based form continues to be the most popular method of reporting. It's generally around 50% of our tips are coming via the web page. Tips are most often then reported during the hours of 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. or during school hours. That's roughly 60% of the tips versus 40% in the out of school hour time. So just some interesting data points there for folks. And next page. So the student voice programs, I think we had shared with the subcabinet sort of a revamp of the student focus group based on student feedback in the 23-24 or 2023 school year. So here we just sort of highlight, we've been very proud of our student advocates. They've been actually on several national webinars representing student voice in the scope of school safety and have done an amazing job. They always make us very proud listening to them. The one pager kind of speaks to the school safety organization, so encouraging our local schools to either use an existing club or chapter that they have to engage in school safety work, or to develop a new school safety club. And they can fill out the form to get recognition from MCSS as a school safety organization. And then we've also really been trying to encourage in the 24, this current school year, a mix it up in the middle. Middle school continues historically in Maryland as well as nationally to be that year where bully behavior in particular really escalates and becomes even more problematic. So really trying to get our middle schools to engage in activities at least monthly where they're helping to build those positive peer relationships. So that's something our student advocate program has been continuing to advance. Next page speaks to the conference. So we've shared with the Subcabinet this last year. We've continued to grow the conference with 482 individuals attending in July. We provide a nice quote from a local around the relevance, as well as helping folks understand how the conference really meets some of our legislative requirements within the Safe to Learn Act. The School Safety Art Showcase. Art Showcase is continues to be highlighted. It was the second year, and we demonstrate some of our winning folks there. Next 2 pages, Erin, so just 39 to highlight. So this is a new page that we added to the report this year to really let folks kind of understand, to see this is, so MCSS is represented on a host of different work groups and advisory councils around the state. So added all of those for folks to see, and then what role we play on those different committees. And then next 2 pages, 40, 41, are the various collaborative agencies that MCSS has worked with during the 24 school year. Next ones, Erin, 42 and 43 is we really provide some data related to communication and engagement. Just make notes. So there's some nice numbers at the bottom of page 42. We have just shy of 4,000 subscribers to our Gov Delivery newsletter that goes out. And we've continued to see an increase. So in the 24 school year, we actually grew by 287 subscribers. So we provide some information related to that. And then on page 43, also some data related to the MCSS webpage. So we had a total of 82,000 visits during the 23-24 school year. And of that, 44,818 are unique people. So 44,818 different people have come to the MCSS website. So we continue to use the webpage as a very large part of us promoting school safety resources to folks. And then the last pages just kind of speak to different community engagement aspects, and then all of you. So the Subcabinet, the Advisory Board, and the MCSS staff that do all of this work together. So that is the 2024 annual report.
Well, thank you for, this is phenomenal. It really is quite thorough and appreciated for all the work that you've put in the summary that you've done. It is demonstrating a major commitment on the part of safety in the state of Maryland for our schools. I was making notes and have a number of questions. I don't want to, I know we have a lot of grants that we need to look at, but I do appreciate when you can show the change, and you did that a number of times. from one year to the next, or one was practically identical. But the training is phenomenal. And your entire team. So kudos to all of you. We appreciate being partners. I know that whenever my team goes to one of your trainings, they come back and they are always complimentary and appreciating the learning that's done and the training that's provided. And we get a lot of questions from parents, as I know you do. Unfortunately, we hear when there's a concern and a frustration, a worry, a threat, bullying, and to be able to say these things are available. Doesn't make it go away, but it lets them know that we are addressing as a team. So congratulations. But we need a vote on this, I believe, right? So is there a motion to approve the annual report?
Colonel Butler, motion to approve the annual report.
We'll take one as a first and a second. So I think we have the two of them. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Abstentions? So the motion passes. Congratulations on the outstanding report. With that, we go to the next section, which is the FY25 Safe Schools Fund Grant applications, and it is all yours.
All right. Good morning. So yes, today we have 13 Safe Schools Fund Grant applications for your review. But before we do that, part of the packet that was emailed to you contained a memo which outlined the total number of applications that we received this year. We did receive 19 eligible applications, totaling about $414,978. There were 4 local school systems that did not apply. We did list the names of those 4 local school systems. We always reach out, even when we know they don't want to apply, but we still reach out. Just this is a non-competitive grant, so we want to give them the opportunity to be able to apply. And since that outreach, I have heard back from 2 of the 4 that did not apply. So it's very likely that they will submit the application, which will then have to be reviewed at the next meeting. The requirement, of course, is always that they use the funding within the same performance period. So there is no extension granted for the performance period, even though there's a courtesy extension for them to submit the application. One of the applications that we received from the local school systems did not meet the eligibility requirements in terms of the actual NOFA. So we have been working with them to submit the additional information, so that might be included in the next meeting for your review as well. Now, if you recall the last meeting, there were 5 applications that were reviewed and approved. And of those 5, the Subcabinet requested an additional information from Carroll County. So we did reach out to Carroll County with the Subcabinet's questions, and we received responses to those questions, and it is included as Appendix A in the packet that was submitted to you. All right, so with that, we will start with the very first application from Calvert County for your review and approval. So Calvert County is requesting the full $25,000 allocation to use their funding to purchase and install surveillance cameras at the Huntingtown High School concession stand and the entire stadium. They're also requesting to purchase additional surveillance camera equipment to add to new cameras and at other campuses to replace existing cameras as needed. They are also requesting to purchase 2 evacuation chairs at the Dowell Elementary School. Now, this particular school has multi-level, so they need the two evacuation chairs to help in case of an emergency. And so with that, the subcabinet has the opportunity to review Calvert County's Safe Schools Fund grant application.
Thank you. So we are going to need a vote, I understand, on each one of these. So is there a motion to approve Calvert County's application for grant?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Second. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? I think the motion passes. So we will go on to Cecil County.
Okay. So moving on to Cecil County is requesting to use their full $25,000 allocation to purchase two-way radios and a digital repeater for the Elkton Middle School for effective emergency communications and to enhance the two-way radio reception at both inside and outside of the school building. Part of the packet, while I am going over just the general overview page, each packet includes a detailed narrative of the request as well as the budget. So if there are any specific questions, I will be more than happy to respond to those. But the overview, again, is just a general summary of what is contained in the request. And so for Cecil County, they have identified certain gaps in radio reception at this particular school. And so they're requesting to use their $25,000 to address some of these gaps.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve Cecil County's application? Do you have a second? Second. Any discussion, questions? All in favor? Any opposed? The motion passes. We'll go on to Charles County.
Okay. So Charles County, like in previous years, is requesting to continue to use their Safe Schools Fund grant allocation for the annual subscription cost for their BARC monitoring software, which helps them actively monitor CCP's digital learning management platform, as well as its Office 365 platforms. Attached to the packet you received is a comprehensive report of what the system is able to track during each school year, and it is broken down in different categories. And again, Charles County is requesting to use their $25,000 to continue their subscription services to BARC software.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve Charles County's application?
Motion.
Second? Second. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we'll go to Dorchester County
Yes, ma'am.
application.
So Dorchester County is transitioning from the ALICE active shooter program to the standard response protocol system and standard reunification method. They're requesting to use $20,500 of their $25,000 allocation to fund the train the trainer sessions on the SRP and standard reunification method training from the I Love You Guys Foundation. This transition would require the I Love You Guys Foundation trainers to train 30 of the Dorchester County Public School employees over a 2-day period, who will then train the rest of the DCPS employees. So the standard response protocol train the trainer amount is $8,000, and then the standard reunification method train the trainer cost is estimated at $12,500. And I believe attached to your packet is the quote from the I Love You Guys Foundation for the training.
All right, is there a motion to approve Dorchester County's application? Thank you. A second? All in favor? No. Any discussion? Questions? All in favor? Opposed? We'll move to Frederick Counties.
Moving on to Frederick County Public Schools, they are requesting to use their $25,000 allocation to purchase and upgrade the security surveillance equipment at Centerville Elementary School. The current system and equipment will be replaced with an IP-based security surveillance equipment. The estimated cost of the equipment is $29,944. FCPS plans to supplement the total cost of the project by using local funds.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve Frederick County's application?
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Let's go to Garrett.
Okay. So moving on to Garrett County Public Schools, they're requesting to use $24,929 of their $25,000 allocation to compensate Garrett County Sheriff's Office deputies to address and monitor traffic safety violations that occur in the immediate vicinity of the school during peak hours. The funding will provide an additional 322 hours of manpower dedicated directly towards the pedestrian and school bus safety project.
Is there a motion to approve Garrett County's application?
Motion to approve.
Second? Any discussion, questions? All in favor? Say aye. Great, go to Harford.
Okay. So Harford County is requesting to use approximately $24,987,000 of their $25,000 allocation to purchase safety radios and batteries for frontline staff to improve the timeliness and effectiveness of response time to potential threats and to ensure smooth reunification efforts during crisis. And I believe attached to the packet is the quote from the vendor for the equipment. So approximately 70 safety radios will be purchased at $313.11 each, and 63 safety radio batteries will be purchased at about $48.72 each.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve Harford County's application?
Motion to approve.
Second? All in, discussion? Questions? All in favor? We move to Howard County.
Howard County is requesting to use all of its $25,000 allocation primarily towards training. Specifically, the allocation will be used to provide a full-day prepare workshop training program to all 250 Howard County Public School administrators and 50 school-based and or central office-based employees. 7 full-time Howard County Public School in-house nationally certified Prepare Workshop 1 trainers will deliver the training on 3 separate non-instructional days in the summer of 2025. And I just want to highlight part of the lessons learned over the years is in prior years we used to administer this grant and only give up to the fiscal year. So by the end of June is when the performance period would have been over. But part of the lessons learned is that many of these trainees occur after the school year, which is why the subcabinet in prior years granted the performance period extension, so to speak, where we're able to administer this grant and give a end date of December of the following calendar year. And so we have seen that a lot of the LEAs are taking advantage of the training component of just being able to use the funds for that purpose. And so this particular request allows Howard County to be able to administer this training during the summer of 2025 when students would have been out of school. And so again, they're requesting to use their full $25,000 towards the different training that are outlined on the overview page.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve Howard County's application? A second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Say aye. Okay, let's move to St. Mary's.
So St. Mary's County is requesting to use $24,972 of their $25,000 allocation to train all school-based mental health staff in evidence-based suicide prevention and intervention. SMCPS continues to identify a need for increased staff training in the recognition of signs and symptoms of students that may be experiencing a mental health issue, and connecting those students to the appropriate mental health support and resources. SMCPS will engage in a contract for online training services to be provided to its school-based mental health staff by an organization comparable to the Question, Persuade, and Refer, or QPR Institute. And a breakdown of the different training programs are provided. Certified trainer, gatekeeper training, 10 courses at a $595 per person. Risk assessment training, projecting 20 different courses at $249 per person. Counseling suicidal people, 19 courses at $119 per person. Screening and referral training, 19 projected courses at $99 per person. And the Pathfinder Training Youth Edition, projecting about 20 courses at $495 per person. The training is intended for school counselors, school social workers, and school psychologists and pupil personnel workers. Again, the total request amount is $24,972.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve St. Mary's application? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
hi, this is Laura. I do have a question. So it's not clear to me whether or not this training is something that can be replicated. I know that there is a lot of turnover, particularly in the behavioral health arena. And so I'm just kind of wondering what the jurisdiction has plans for future years. It sounds like this training is going to take place for their current staff, and it's not entirely clear to me whether they will be training any of their staff to be able to be trainers in things like QPR. I would also say that I think most of the mental health providers should be familiar with this, but I'm certainly willing to support them being trained in case they are not. My real issue then is just kind of sustainability.
Okay, so is your question about how they plan on continuing this beyond this initial training that the mental health staff will be receiving? Just want to make sure.
That's correct. And it sounds like also pupil personnel, which is not a group that would necessarily have this background information. So that's right. So this is something that they're going to incorporate for this fiscal year, but then as they have new staff members come in, how will they then fill the gap to make sure that those staff members also have this training?
Great. So for as long as the Safe Schools Fund grant is available to local school systems, they should ideally be able to use this fund to train existing staff as well as new staff that may come in. I believe it's similar to the SRO grant that we administer, which now of course includes SSCs. And so we are now doing in-service training for these SROs and SSCs, which is sort of like a refresher, right? Which are those folks who are still within the system. But even for new staff members that come in, there should be the ability for either this funding or any funding that the jurisdiction is able to provide to be able to either do new training for newcomers or do refresher trainings for existing staff. And so even if the funding is not necessarily the Safe Schools Fund grant, it should be an ability for school-based staff to receive, continual education improvement relative to their specific portfolio. Now, for this particular application, I like that they refer to the education article that essentially required school-based staff to obtain additional in-service training for all certified school personnel. And their goal is to be able to, yes, for the current staff, provide this training for them. I can't speak to future sustainability plans specific to the school, but we absolutely encourage them to have this training and do so in the future if the funding allows. Does that answer your question?
So it does answer the question somewhat, but I think what the messaging that we want to then provide the school jurisdictions with that are using the funding for this purpose is we're glad to see that that is something that's being utilized, and to just keep in mind that it is something that it sounds like is being funded at a one-time thing, and they will need to be thinking about ways to continue to build that in so that new staff. So I would be inclined to say, is it possible then to have one of their staff be trained as a trainer to make sure that moving forward, they're able to provide that training for new staff that are joining the team?
Sure, I will definitely take this back, and I think one of the clarifications that I will request from the school, because I know not all trainings can be done as a trainer, so just based on all of the list of the different training here, one of the clarification that I will ask is which one of them can be administered as a trainer course, and see if those particular training can be administered as such.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? There is COMA related to suicide training, annual suicide training.
Okay.
Is there a motion to approve St. Mary's County's application? Is there a second? Second. Do we have any discussion? All in favor of moving forward? Any opposed? And I don't think there were any abstentions. I'm sorry. She did have a thumb up.
Okay, just wanted to know.
I think so.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear what the vote was.
We double check. There was a thumbs up, is that correct?
There was, yes.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All
right, Talbot County, please.
right. Let's see. So Talbot County is requesting to use $24,002 out of their $25,000 allocation to purchase various safety and security items for the schools within the district. They are requesting to purchase 17 I Love You Guys banners, 2 AEDs, 1 public safety mobile emergency radio for their public safety vehicle. They want to purchase 1 incident command cabinet for that emergency vehicle, and they'd like to purchase 2 vehicle emergency radio battery chargers, and finally they'd like to purchase 1 weather control tent in case of any emergency incidents that need to be handled during bad weather or outside the school building.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve Talbot County's application?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We go to Washington County.
So Washington County is requesting to use their full $25,000 allocation to continue their mental health services that they provide to their students. The FY25 allocation will be used 3 different ways. First is for professional development. So part of the Safe Schools Fund grant funding, 10,500 to be precise, will be used to cover overtime pay for school-employed mental health staff to participate in training to address student behavioral and emotional challenges. Washington County Public Schools will contract with a subject matter expert to speak to school-employed mental health staff as part of the overall professional development training, and part of the funding will be used to pay for registrations for the training. They also plan to use part of the funding for community engagement, and it would be used to provide transportation to mental health appointments for students who have families without access to transportation. And they will use the funding to provide early intervention substance abuse services for students that previously could not access care. Additionally, they will use 8,000 of their allocation for mental health resources. Specifically, they will use part of it to procure therapeutic resources to support school-employed mental health staff in their effort to decrease behavioral and mental health challenges using evidence-based practices and materials. Again, the total request is $25,000. This has been very similar in terms of the project that Washington County Public Schools has undertaken with their Safe Schools Fund grant since, I believe, fiscal year 2022. And this request is to be able to continue to provide these services.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve Washington County's application? Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Wicomico.
Yes, I believe that is one of two left. Wicomico County Public Schools is requesting to use $24,158 of their $25,000 allocation to purchase additional radios and one multi-unit charger, which has the capacity to charge up to 6 radios at the time. And we have attached the quote from the vendor to your packet for review.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve Wicomico's application? Thank you. Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, we will move to Worcester.
Worcester County. Worcester County is the last of the 13 applications for this meeting review today. So Worcester County is requesting to use its full 25,000 allocation to contract a behavioral specialist that will provide mental health support to students at Stephen DeCarter High School, the middle school, and Berlin Intermediate School. Secondary support will be extended to students at Ocean City Elementary School and Buckingham Elementary School. The recruitment for the behavioral specialist will be selected among the private mental health professionals already practicing at Worcester County. The specialist will work under the supervision of the Worcester County Public School Coordinator of Mental Health to develop and implement a triage protocol in collaboration with each school. One-on-one counseling as well as small group sessions will be the service delivery model. Again, they're requesting to use their $25,000 allocation for this project.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve Worcester County's? We have a question? Certainly, go right ahead.
Yeah. Hi, it's Laura. Again, I have a question about sustainability. And actually, when is this service starting? Did it already start? And I guess there wasn't a lot of data in the report on the number of students in need. I do not question that they exist. But what I question is whether or not the service units that they're asking will how that will impact the actual need. So based on the number of service units that they are going to provide, how will that impact the actual need of the students? And then the other question that I have is sustainability. So again, this is a service that is needed, and so we don't mandate whether or not these funds are used the same way year after year. So if there's a need for radios next year, does that then mean that the students who are getting the behavioral health resources through this this grant funding this year won't get them next year? And has the jurisdiction thought about ways to partner with their local behavioral health authority to work on funding or getting some support in that way? So I'm not opposed to it. I just, in general, have questions. There's a lot of work being done across the state through, I work for the Behavioral Health Authority, to really make sure that there are services available, and we do provide funding support for some of those services. So I just want to make sure that, and there, we no way, shape, or form provide all of the services or the funding for the services that are necessary. So I'm glad to see jurisdictions using other funding. I just want to make sure then that these students that are receiving this service, or who may continue to need the service, or new students who may continue to need them, have access to them outside of this funding once it's over.
Sure, thanks, Laura. Yeah, and again, I believe it's a similar interest and question that you had for Carroll County. So we're happy to take this back to the jurisdiction so that they can provide a specific response to it. And I will do well to, once we get the response, I usually give them about a week or so to get back to us. And so once I receive it, we will put it together in a memo and send it out to the subcabinet.
Thank you.
So are we holding on this one, or do you want to vote and vote?
No, I think we're okay with those.
Okay.
Yeah, she said she wasn't here.
Oh, okay, okay, so it's just getting further
Yes,
information, it's
correct.
not holding, is
It's
what you
not.
meant. Okay,
Yes.
great. So is there a motion to approve Worcester County's application? Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. And I don't think there's anyone opposed. Okay. So that concludes the review of all of the applications, and they're all approved. Well done. Good review as always, Gifty. You're very knowledgeable about all these applications. You have them all right at your fingertips or in your head. So congratulations. I think that concludes the items on the agenda.
It does. I just want to make, just following back on the annual report, I just want to publicly, since this is a public meeting, I want to publicly thank the entire team. You know, we're incredibly small, but every single person on the team is so dedicated and committed, and continually tries to find ways to make improvements and do things better. And so just a really big public thank you to all of them and all of their hard work. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Well done. So is there a motion to adjourn the meeting for today? Is there a second? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.